Welcome to the Innovative Systems Podcast, Broadband Breakdown, where we dive into real-life challenges broadband leaders are facing and help them find solutions. This is your space for innovative ideas and expert solutions. Let's get started.
Welcome to Broadband Breakdown. I'm Jancy Butterworth, your special guest host today, and we have Jason Wille from Range joining us. He's their Chief Marketing Officer. Hey, Jason.
Hi, Jancy. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining. I was hoping you could share a bit about Range. I know you guys are such an interesting company. You're in Wyoming, you're in Montana, you're CLEC, you're ILEC, there's co-op. If you could just go ahead and share a bit about your operations.
All right. Well, Jancy, it's super nice to be here with you. Like I said, Jason Wille with Range. I've been at Range for 17 years, and I'm located in the Wyoming office in Sheridan, Wyoming. Range is unique, like you said. We are a co-op. We are a CLEC. We provide wholesale bandwidth to other carriers, and we are the largest fiber optic network in the state of Wyoming. We serve 30,000 square miles over the course, 14,500 broadband subscribers over those 30,000 square miles. We have 4,700 miles of fiber that we have built into the ground, and we continue to expand as much as we can. It's a very unique situation. I'm very fortunate enough to be on the marketing and sales committee for NTCA, and I was able to have everyone come out to Wyoming last summer. And in fact, Scott was able to come out and see beautiful Sheridan, as you know, since you spent a couple years with us here. And so, happy to be on with you and happy to talk broadband, marketing, anything you want to talk about. Let's do it.
Nice. Let's jump in. Would love to talk about marketing for sure with you. One area in particular that I'd love to hear your thoughts on is sort of marketing to customers that are serviceable but not served. They're within your territory, you're building to them, you've built to them, but for some reason they haven't signed up. Is that a big opportunity area for you?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the unique challenges, I think, in rural America that we have to we have to figure out and kind of explore and then be creative in our ways. I'll give you an example. So Range we applied and got a grant in the Forsyth, Montana area and Colstrip, Montana through the Connect Montana grant opportunity. And one of the things that was unique about that is we were able to serve all of Forsyth, Montana, but we were only able to serve pockets of Colstrip. So we were able to serve the southwest and then kind of the southern part of Colstrip. And that was unique in its challenge because as we were putting our information together, we used a contractor to help us with site surveys and then going out, and we actually went door to door and put door knockers on all the homes that we were serving. And the reason we did that is we like to typically do mass marketing, right? We like to do bill inserts, or I mean not bill inserts, but postcards to prospects, things like that. Well, one thing that's unique about in Colstrip in this area is there is no rural service delivery. So you can't direct mail to the address. Everyone has a P.O. box. And so that is very interesting, right? Because you have to go in and you can't just send it to everybody at the post office, right? Because then it would go to people that aren't on the build. So we had to do a lot of research. We had to really rely on door-to-door opportunities. And then what I found is once we went in there, we had to get mailing addresses, email addresses, phone numbers. And that was hard. You know, in rural America, right, the demographic is typically conservative, older, maybe not trustworthy of just giving out information, right? And while Range has a network that goes through Colstrip, we had we had customers in that area, but very few and far between. A lot of people didn't know who we were, so we had to really gain their trust in order to become their broadband provider. And so what we did is we set up a couple events where we had them at City Hall. To where it was like a meet and greet. We participated in the parades. What we did is we did a Fiber is in Your Future campaign where we had the same look and feel for a billboard, for newspaper ads, for social media, for the door knockers, for the postcards when we could get the information. We had everything look and feel the same. It's just different sizes and maybe just a slightly different message, but the look and feel was the same. And as we constructed through the year, we changed everything from Fibers in Your Future to we created this campaign where it says fiber is now here, right? And it was this gal with a picture of like, yes, it's finally here, right? Like fiber's finally here. And so then we swapped out all of that material and did another billboard the same way, same look and feel, but we changed the color scheme. As you know, Jancy, Range has a four color palette. We're a little wilder than most,
Yeah.
but one thing that's cool about that is we're able to change our messaging based on what I think is the roadmap or the spot in the life cycle of being able to build fiber. And to me, I tell the team all the time that I think that building fiber optics to somebody is the sexiest thing that we can do. And it's the coolest thing we can do, right? Because we're able
Agreed.
to give them better connectivity to the world, allow them to stay home, live in their rural America, bridge the digital divide that you and I have talked about a lot,
Yeah.
right? That is so important because rural communities are the lifeblood of the West, and we want to keep those people to be able to have that, you know, that down home feel, right, where you're helping your neighbors, you're working together, but at the same time you have the best connectivity possible. And so that is to me one of the more rewarding things. But that's how we went through. And I'll tell you, we only in the very beginning we only had 30-40% take rate. And we had surveyed these people and we had talked to their economic development, and they were all screaming for better broadband, cheaper broadband.
Yeah.
But what we found is it's really hard for people to switch in their busy schedule. And so we had to meet them where they were. One of the things that I learned is when we did, so like you and I, right? You and I and Scott and others in our industry, we understand the value of fiber optic internet. Consumers don't, right? Consumers, at least some consumers don't understand the value of it. So we have to get that messaging out so they understand the value, and the perceived price of the value is less, right, than the value you're giving. And so we had to change originally our door knockers said, hey, fiber's here. It's free to come to you. But we never told them what was going to happen after they got the service, right?
Yeah.
And so we changed that messaging throughout the year and said, hey, by the way, this is what it's going to cost you afterwards, because a lot of people are skeptical, right, of schemes or gaming or, you know, games that people play. And so what we want to do is we want to be completely transparent of what it would be like, right? Because we were offered a Cadillac, but some people don't want to pay for a Cadillac. And so we had to show them that, yes, we're going to price it maybe a little bit less than the Cadillac. At least that's what you perceive. So it was a very fun, exciting. It was a fun thing to do. We also put up signs for the friendlies that we could, like, hey, my fiber's at my house, right? And that was also good. But really, once we got a few people to actually dive into our system and actually jump on the Range train as far as the internet, they started telling their neighbors, and that was really where we saw more of a take rate, was neighbors telling neighbors. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
That advocacy, those customer advocates are so valuable in marketing.
You know, so valuable. I think that's something that we should look at in the future for this summer, because we're expanding $17 million worth of builds this summer, and a lot of which are in more of pockets where we have the customer today, because we're an ACAM company. We took ACAM funds, so that's just part of our obligation to do that, and so, or to build out. And so, but having those advocates is huge. Word of mouth. They trust their neighbors. They don't necessarily trust our marketing messages or our sales folks or customer relations folks as much as they do their neighbor. So if you can get a few of them on board, it's great.
There you go. Do you think you'll do a similar campaign in these new ACAM areas?
We are. So so these are existing customers, right? But some of them have left because the the service wasn't as good, right, as DSL technology, as you
Sure.
know, is just not, it's very limited, right? And so there's a lot of competition now with Leo, with
Mhm.
cell phones, with, there's a lot of competition in even our rural areas. And so this year, what we did is we were actually going door to door with our contractors. We gave them more material and more information, and then we're asking people to sign up for updates. And so we're actually asking them if we can, once we get their number, if we can text them, if we can email them updates throughout the life cycle of the project. And then we're also completely transparent on what the price would be. And so that is, I think, a change from what we were last year. We've also gone out and done surveys of like site surveys, like physically gone to these areas and found where there are mailboxes, and we're going to put fibers coming near, like, because like rural delivery, like you'll have like 5 mailboxes or 6 mailboxes for 10 homes in the 20 miles that are there.
Mhm.
And so we'll go in there and we'll put that there. So we'll put little
Oh,
signs
man.
next to those. So just trying to be as strategic as we can and get the word out, because like I said, this is the coolest thing we can do. We need to make people understand that this is the coolest thing that they can receive from us.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's very cool. I'm glad that that campaign has been a success.
Yeah, it's neat. And then just the constant reminder of the same messaging and the same imagery.
Mhm.
Really, marketing, we have to throw everything at it and hope that one
Mhm.
thing sticks. I think I've told you before, one of the things we want to be is top of mind. We want, so when you are ready to switch, you know who to switch to.
I love
And
that.
it's easy.
That's a
Yeah,
great quote.
yes.
That's wonderful. So did you have to do any training of like the CSR team? So when people called in, they were ready to launch?
Absolutely. In fact, this year we actually set up a fiber line. So we set up a local line, a 406 line in Montana and a 307 line in Wyoming, to where
Mhm.
it looks like they're local calls instead of an 800 number. And we actually had our contractors or other engineers, we had them download our app for our internal phone system. So when they call, it looks like they're calling from us.
Oh,
And then
nice.
when people call in, they get a greeting that is actually yours truly on the phone system. It says, "Hey, welcome to the faster speed." Or let's see, what did I say? I said, thank you for calling the fiber optic team. Let's get you um, ready for the fastest speeds of the West, right? Because our slogan is "Live Your West Life,"
Yep.
and so we try to tie in that too. But yeah, using local numbers and being able to meet people where they are. We have a spot you can sign up online, and we're also offering a text message hotline where people can text us and we can text them updates, things like that.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
trying to just make it easy. People like easy. I like easy. You like easy.
Yes.
We have to do the same thing.
It's true. We put out a survey every year of rural broadband subscribers, and we
Hmm.
ask about how they like to be communicated with, and it turns out it's every way. They want
Every
the
way,
text, they
right?
want the phone
Everyone.
call, they want
My
the
mom
email.
likes to be communicated differently than you do, than I
Mhm.
do, than my son does. Obviously, my son's not going to sign up for fiber internet, but it is. You have to meet them where they are, and that's the only way you can get it done.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
Um, well, thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to touch base on some other opportunities for revenue diversification. Are you adding additional services, trying to retain your current customers with any additional products?
absolutely. So, Jancy, I think we are in a unique position as broadband companies because
Mhm.
everywhere else prices are going up, but in broadband prices are going down. It is almost treated like a commodity anymore. I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of our competitors. We compete with the largest cable operator in the United States. They're offering free internet for life if you switch 4 of your cell phones to them. So
Oh
2 of them
my
have to be
goodness.
switched and 2 have to be brand new. So if you're a business customer, you can get free internet as long as you switch your cell phone company to them, which is very, very hard, right, for folks like us, because
Mhm.
we value the internet as like our niche, right? And
Mhm.
we don't want to like completely demonetize it, like
Yeah.
and so one of the things that we've had to do is we've had to lower our rates to be competitive, offer better speeds at a lower cost.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we always pitch is local service, being your neighbor, supporting your community. And
Yeah.
that's great, right? That is something that we need to do and that we're honored to do. But consumers are very finicky. They don't want to pay more than they have to. We're almost like a necessary evil. They expect great, but they don't want to pay as much for it. That we, at the value, like I said, the whole value versus cost thing that we talked about earlier. And so this last year has been a real, we've always wondered about it, and when you were with us, Jancy, I always talked about the importance of diversification because of our reliance on universal service. Last year was very, very scary because one Supreme Court decision could have really, if it had gone the other way, it could have been really disastrous for folks like Range who serve a territory that's larger than 10 United States, right? Like 10 states in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so what I've been focused on with our team is adding over-the-top services, like what we call ultimate Wi-Fi. What we're trying to leverage is some of our partners, such as Calix. We've launched a smart biz application to where what we're pitching it as is it's more. Yes, we're trying to be innovative and we're trying to give you the latest in technology, the best in speeds, but we also want to provide a safe space for you on the internet. There's a lot of things right now that are very scary on the internet, especially for our older demographic. And so we're trying to add over-the-top services to enhance our non-regulated revenues to become less reliant on universal service in case this ever happens again. Because just depending on the administration or depending on the thought process at the the national level has a major impact on rural America. And my goal is to always be able to just rely on something that I can control, meaning our service offering, our revenues coming in, not necessarily a reliance on something from the federal government. And so that's something that we really focus on. Couple examples of that is using, like I said, our Smart Biz application, providing more services, giving people tools such as antivirus, like antivirus blocker, or I guess virus blockers, trying to just use technology that would keep you safer on the internet. Doing that kind of messaging like that with just additional incremental increases in cost. Like I said, to hopefully give them a better experience on the internet, because a lot of times if we can go in and offer like something like an ultimate Wi-Fi, which is a managed Wi-Fi, we just call it ultimate Wi-Fi because we have to be different, as you know. And so, but when we go in and do the ultimate Wi-Fi, we're actually going in and doing a better install, which actually in turn makes their experience better. And so it's a win-win, I think, for both the consumers and for us.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a great outlook.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I just have one last question. Since I know you're a numbers guy, I just wanted to touch base on if there are any KPIs or metrics you were tracking for the next 2 or 3 years to kind of plan your outlook and any expansion efforts.
Absolutely. Really looking at the operational costs. What does it look like when a technician goes out on site? How long do they take? What's a contractor expense for going out? And then also one of the things I look at is the number of touch points we have with the customer. Trying to maximize the ability to go in one time, offer one service, offer one experience. And then what does it also look like for mailing out routers, right? Like mailing out our GigaSpires. Imagine, when we have to look at these things because it can take us at least 2 hours to go one way to visit a customer. If we have a trouble, it can take us 2 hours to go one way just to troubleshoot an issue. So training our customer relations folks to be more tier 1 specialists, look in and try to diagnose some of the problems they may have instead of rolling trucks just automatically is something that really watching, Jancy, and then also just watching the pricing, right? Just watching the rates from a revenue standpoint, looking at our competition, seeing how they're commoditizing broadband. It's just something that is going to be top of mind for me. And then also meeting our ACAM obligations. In 2028 is when our 10 years will be up. And so really trying to advocate for what's next. And so that's really some of the things that I'll be focused on. And then also networking and talking with, my friends at Innovative and you and Scott and then just everyone across rural America, because it takes a village to keep us all connected, and we have lots of resources around the nation and great people and smart advocates, I think, for this industry and for rural America.
Agreed. That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful industry. Well, thank you so much. It's always great to chat. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you again.
That's a wrap for this episode of Broadband Breakdown. Got a problem you need advice on or a story to share? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay connected and keep pushing for progress in rural America.